So
Okay.
when you
Exist.
so if the logic here is you're cautious of all men because men could assault you, so like maybe at night you cross the street when a group of men is walking towards you. I'm not even sure that most men would blame a woman for doing that. I would, however, give you the rejoinder that then what would the problem be with men wanting to protect their businesses and assets by not hiring women, for instance? Because if they do, there's a greater chance that they could deal with some type of sexual harassment claim or something like this. So if the idea is that women are they're trying to protect themselves from something which they think men disproportionately do, I don't see why men shouldn't be allowed to protect themselves from the disproportionate amount of false SA claims, which is almost 100% one-sided.
So the false essay
Agree.
claims, are they outweighing the real essay claims?
Well, no, probably not, but it's still disproportionate.
Okay.
That was what your question is. So your
Yeah,
question was
but
about
it's
disproportionate.
kind of
What is disproportionate? It would be disproportionate the amount of false SA claims towards men versus men towards women. So if the argument is, but men assault women more than than the other way around, or even if they don't, they do more damage. It's like, okay, that's fair. So if you need to protect yourself from that, I think that the argument back would be, then why can't men protect themselves from these false claims? Most men are not going to SA you. Most women are not going to make false claims. But if we're going to just kind of do the stereotypical thing, then I don't see why both of us shouldn't protect ourselves from the
so
other.
it's not about like most men not essaying. Okay, so for the false claim thing, if most women were or more women were making false accusations about men, harassing them in the workplace or whatever, than the real accusations, then I would agree with you.
Why
But
would
since
that
most
that
women
that
are
makes no
valid,
sense. That doesn't
I was
logically
gonna
You
follow.
asked for
say,
Well, so here
disproportionate.
I'll explain. I'll explain. So the thing is that if we take the entire pool of men which are available in a pool who assault women, it's very, very, very tiny. But women will take this
It's
pool and
2%.
say,
We know
because
men
they're
of
far more likely to do this, I then feel justified in staying away from them or guarding myself from them in some way. Nobody's even blaming you for that. But if that is the case, it would be the same logic to say, well, it's a very small amount of women who make these false claims about men. So since that is the case, why shouldn't men also guard themselves from those claims?
okay, and another thing you're saying is basically you're saying men should like oppress women in the workplace to avoid these
What?
That's such
yeah.
a huge leap
That's what
Andrew,
you're
from
call
what
out
you
the
saying.
straw
said.
man. Andrew,
Because
call
if
out the
we're
straw
being
man.
cautious of men, we're not saying like, oh, men aren't allowed anywhere near us or anything. We're going to create laws where men can't be in the same vicinity as us or anything like that. That's not what we're saying.
Well,
We're saying
okay.
this is a
Well,
way
wait. Hang on. It's all voluntary. So the idea here is that there's no oppression for voluntary exchanges. So if a
if they're
man
not
doesn't want to
hiring,
hire a woman because
that
he
is
doesn't
oppression.
want to take any risk, he's protecting himself the same way a woman is. If she crosses the street, they're both making preconceived notions based on a falsehood, which is that most men are not going to assault you if you're walking down the street. That's the truth. Most women are not going to make a false SA claim. But the logic is still the same, that because this happens, we need to protect ourselves from it. It's the
But you
same
do
claim.
understand that one has a major consequence where
They both have major
so
consequences.
no, they don't.
Yeah,
Well, you can
one
avoid the
creates a stereotype, a negative stereotype about men, which is unwarranted, and that creates a stigma, which is
not unwarranted.
that is an unwarranted societal stigma against men, that they're violent, that they're thugs. If people, for instance, cross the street only because the men who were approaching were black, wouldn't you say that that was a stigma?
Okay, so it's funny when people like to compare like black people
The
because
same.
black people have
It's
different
It's the same
experiences.
logic. It's the
It's
same
not.
It
It's
is.
not.
It
Let me
is.
It
explain
is. It's a
why.
stigma. It's a stigma.
It's
You're
not.
creating a false
Wait,
stigma.
It's
what if we change black with Hispanic? Like
no,
Puerto
it's
Ricans.
still not. So
It
okay,
literally is.
It
so let me
literally is.
explain.
Yeah.
Can I
It's the symmetry
explain?
Yeah,
breaker.
I would like to hear the explanation. Yeah.
All right, so
Andrew's 100% right on this.
the reason why it's not is because men hold the most positions of power in our United States system, and men
That's a
have
choice.
more authority. So if black people had more authority
That's a
than
choice.
say white people, then you could make that distinction, but that's not the case.
Okay,
you
well,
think
hang on. Well, then I'll contend directly with this argument. If it's just about power dynamics, women hold more institutional power than men do. They hold institutional power over all forms of education. They have way more degrees. They own more housing. They have disproportionate positions as educators and as physicians over men. Men, on the other hand, are doing the blue collar, laborious jobs that women don't want to do and are physically incapable of doing. So the thing is that already men are disproportionately downtrodden. But let us assume for just a minute that you're 100% correct and the power dynamics are still there. It still wouldn't matter. It would make my point and not yours, because if a group of white women only crossed the street because it was a group of black men, you would say that was creating a stigma, that was a negative stereotype. The same exact logic would apply if a woman just crossed the street for any group of men. It would still create a negative stigma. And if a woman makes a false essay claim against men, it creates a negative stigma. So if you think you're justified in protecting yourself from this, we think we're justified in protecting ourselves from that.
Okay, yeah. So once again, your effect, or the effect that you would have on women by not hiring them because you think they could make a false essay accusation, has a huge impact.
Yeah, it
versus
has a
being
huge impact. It
simple.
creates societal stigma against men too. Massive impact. In fact, to the point where in the dating market, men are terrified of even approaching women and requesting a date.
99% of all violent crimes are committed by men.
No, that's not true. First of all, that's categorically false. What you're looking at is prosecuted crimes. Yeah, when it comes to no, first of all, that's not even true. You're looking at FBI statistics, and let me go further though. Okay, there's independent studies. All they're looking at is prosecution rates. But when you ask people, when they do polling and when they do studies on DV, for instance, the FBI statistics far and away say that men commit the most amount of DV. Interestingly enough, though, bro, I'm not dismissing them. I'm giving you a refutation to them.
You can only gain like
Stop. Are you going to let me respond? You're not going to let me respond?
Go from 99 to 95.
You're not going to let me respond?
He's a white knight, y'all. He's a white knight, y'all.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'll respond to this. Okay. What you're looking at is you're just looking at prosecutions. That's all the FBI can show you. They can just only show you what's being prosecuted. Right. But it doesn't give you the background on the why. So this would be the same thing. I could make the same claim and say, OK, well, black people are disproportionately represented when it comes to violent crime, too. But it doesn't show us the whys. And so we have to dive into the whys. Women actually do commit tons and tons of DV and violent crimes. It just goes mostly unreported by men. Now, we know this because we have multiple studies which show this, that men report that they have been essayed and don't report it at way higher rates than women, that they've been physically assaulted at way higher rates than women and don't report it. And if a woman says, well, there's actually way more SA out there than is reported, you would immediately say, yeah, that's true. But for some reason, when men say it, oh, you're skeptical now.
Wait, Andrew,
categorically false.
Andrew, you don't have to. We've already been over this.
Mass shooting is not reported.
John, hush. We've already been over this with John about like there's been sociological studies showing that because of societal conditioning, men just won't report.
Well, would you like me? If you'd like, I can pull them up for you, John.
Can I ask a question real quick? Are you guys denying that like men commit these violent crimes?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, so you agree that they are more likely to commit violence?
No. So you took it one step too far. Do I dispute that men commit violent crime? No. Do I dispute that it's disproportionate to women? Yes, I dispute that.
So how can you dispute that when there's actual like biological reasons for men to commit these crimes?
Yeah, unless it comes to children. Let's look at we can just look at the abuse rates of children in single mother homes. Women are far more likely to abuse their children rather than single fathers. So when they have somebody who is weaker than them that they're in the caretaker position of, they're far more likely to abuse them. Way more likely than men are to abuse women.
Right,
so it's disproportionate.
because we all know that testosterone makes men or makes people more aggressive. So
yes,
higher
that's
levels
true,
of
but it also
testosterone.
makes men more logical. It also ups the amount of estrogen that men have. It makes them more emotionally temperate. So while testosterone can be linked to aggressiveness, that's true. It's also linked to emotional stability, which causes you to have less emotional outbursts.
And you know what else is
Wait.
connected to? You know what's more connected to violence than testosterone or any genetics?
What
Societal
is it?
upbringing. And women are not taught to keep their hands to themselves.
Yeah, by the way, peaked estrogen can also lead to aggressive behavior, and women have peaked
So-
estrogen all the time.
Did you say that you'll
So
have
much of
more
anything is
emotional
overrated.
stability if the higher the testosterone?
I mean, generally speaking, if men are between, somewhere between 800 to 1400, they're fine. Yeah, that's fine. And men can go up to 2000 without seeing much in the way of negative effects. Their bodies are designed for that, and so most men have at least in their 20s high testosterone. No, they're not aggressive.
How come we always talk about like roid rage and like men having like
Well, that's
these emotional
steroid usage.
outbursts?
That's different. That's a
completely
that's a whole
It's
no.
steroids.
That's
a shrug induced. Like that's
Or
like
injecting testosterone.
right. It's not natural.
It's not just testosterone as well. Test is a
No,
form
it's not.
or it can be used as a form, but there are way more popular and more effective types of things you could use than just test. Test is actually pretty limited and
it's very safe for men, especially, and women usually actually have too low of testosterone in modernity, and oftentimes have to use replacement as well. But the thing is that any chemical that you have too much of in your body can cause aggressiveness, including in women with estrogen. So no, just men having higher amounts of testosterone than women, it can make them much better when they're in a fight or flight response, at perhaps physically defending themselves, building muscle, things like this. But it doesn't mean that they are more aggressive. They can actually be more emotionally even keeled.
Linked to aggression, but okay.
Yes, but so is estrogen. Estrogen is also linked to aggression, and women have way more estrogen than men.
All right, let me look that.
This is a ridiculous argument.
Just real quick.
He's 100%
Hold on,
right.
guys. I'm one of the mods here, so if you guys don't mind, I'd like to welcome in Andrew. I really appreciate you for coming by. Just while we have you for a few, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the prompt. I think I would just love to hear what you'd have to say if you don't mind sharing.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, sir. I really appreciate it. Over on your live, just so that you guys know, there's about 3,000 people live watching you all right now. I think they're enjoying the conversation.
We know.
That's tough.
We know. What's up to the Crucible?
What's up to the Crucible?
Welcome.
So what's specifically on the prompt? Well, the KAM, of course, that's just psychotic, right? But the man v bear has always been a very stupid proposition to me. Obviously, your chances of getting out of a forest with a random man is going to be far better than if you spawn in with a random bear. And the chances that he's going to do anything to you are extremely low. If you were to go and pat random men on the head versus random bears on the head, what do you think would happen?
I'd lose a hand.
I think you'd lose a hand, yeah. And I think that if any random woman went over and just patted a man on the head, I don't think much would happen to her. But I think if she went and patted a bear on the head, that he would eat her face. So.
Okay.
A lot of the women are choosing the bear.
Are these statements misandry?
Well, I don't think. Okay, so here's an odd take, right? I don't think that women are actually even really capable of being misandrous. But hang on, let me give you the qualification here. Let me give you the qualification. They're so indoctrinated into feminist ideology into thinking that men essentially are demonic, evil, diabolical masterminds, and women are born saints. They're literally born saints and angels, and they don't do anything wrong until an evil man comes along and corrupts them. They're literally indoctrinated with it. They think that these are descriptors for reality. So I think from their view, it can't actually be misandry. They think that these are just descriptors, that men are bad and they're evil and that they corrupt women, and women are saints and angels and don't do nothing at all wrong until an evil man corrupts them.
Wow.
I see what you mean.
I say I agree
That's
that
really
women
well put, Andrew.
inherently can't be misandrous as well because I don't everything from that they use to spread quote unquote misandry is provided, like they show their appreciation to men by giving men their money to talk about the things that they don't want, like they don't like about men. So it's like impossible. You can't, if you hate somebody, you avoid them. You know what I'm saying? You can't.
Well, it's super weird to me because.
Let me.
No problem. Sorry.
Let me
Go ahead.
just respond to that because I'll forget. I don't know if it's inherent or not, but I do think that these statements are misandry, because they are rooted in hatred, prejudice, and contempt towards men. So that's where I would say they would be misandry personally.
Yeah, no, I agree definitionally. That's true. Okay. But if you're talking about kind of
misandrous, don't you think the sentiment?
Hold on, John, please, 1 sec.
Yeah, but if you're talking about the spirit of what that means, it's really interesting. If you talk to a feminist one-on-one, they're infinitely reasonable. And they seem to actually be somewhat willing to engage and discuss issues and this and that and see it from a male perspective. But collectively, they're monsters, right? So the second you add, another one of the cyborg feminists to the collective, they become the Borg, essentially. And they begin with the kind of groupthink collective of men bad. But individually, they don't seem to think that. So it's an interesting phenomenon. It's a form of collectivization which leads to collective hate mongering. I agree, but I don't think they see it that way. I think from their view, they're just giving reality descriptors, like this gal here, Opulence, right? She's just kind of saying, well, listen, it's a descriptor that men are just more dangerous than women. But when you examine this, it's like, well, maybe physically, but that's not the only way to introduce danger to people. In fact, in many ways, men would prefer that there was a physically dangerous element rather than slander, innuendo, reputational damage, being essentially called some type of insane, sex-thirsty rapist, right? Mm-hmm. So these are all these are all things that men have to deal with all the time. And
if you say feminism as a collective is bad, isn't that just generalizing and putting a monolithic descriptor over a whole group?
Yeah,
but generalizing.
Yeah, I am generalizing and putting a monolithic descriptor over the group of feminists and saying they're bad and their ideology is insane and it makes no sense and it's towards the promotion of egalitarian. And yeah, it is true.
Yeah, but what he's saying is
name a single feminist doctrine that's good. Just one.
Well, I don't think.
Hang on, let him answer. Name a single feminist doctrine that's good. One.
Women shouldn't have to suffer sexual assault. They shouldn't get.
That's not a feminist doctrine. That's part of Christian ethics. That's part of the ethics of humanity. That's not feminist dogma. What is an actual feminist dogmatic position from feminist dogma that you actually agree with? That's good. What?
Like women shouldn't have to suffer assault, especially ones.
Oh, okay. So now feminists do Christian ethics because that's Christian ethics.
Christian ethics and feminist ethics, they can't overlap.
No. So just because a feminist agrees with some ethical standard, that's not the form of their dogma. That's a universal. That's a deontological universal ethic.
How do you know their dogma?
Because I read all feminist dogma I can get my hands on. What do you mean? From all of their great minds. Which one would you like to go through? Would you like to go through Mary Shelley? I mean, who do you want to go through? Their dogma is insanity. I would like you to give me an actual feminist-based policy, not one that overlaps because Christians came up with it first. Actual feminist dogma. Give me anything.
Not have claim over anti-violence stance. Or anti-sexual violence.
Yeah, I know, but okay, but give me a non-overlapping policy. Anything.
It's pretty hard to do.
You can't give me anything. You can't give me anything. It's just
there's so many.
Well, then give me one. Then give me a non-overlapping policy that we need feminists for.
Non-objectification of women through locker room talk, through grape jokes.
Yeah, those are insane policies. So that's okay. So I agree. If you're talking about objectification because people make jokes about sex, that's an insane policy. So that feminist policy actually does more harm than it does good because it shuts down conversations. So you cannot have honest conversations. So that's good. That's feminist dogma.
What you're saying is insane. You're trying to uphold a rapist culture.
What is? Wait, I'm sorry. Having an honest conversation about what is descriptively true when it comes to SA has nothing to do with upholding a culture which promotes SA, which our culture most certainly does not promote SA. That's a lie. You can show me no evidence of any policy anywhere which does. Go ahead and try.
He thinks locker room talk upholds SA, basically.
I tried to get him to give me like a description of like a joke or something, but I couldn't get it. Like, I don't understand like where he means.
Well, the issue is
all it is tone policing. It's all just designed to control language and conversation so that we can't give descriptors for truth. That's it. When you say a joke is inappropriate or something like this, or that oh no, somebody laughed about something at the expense of somebody else, it's like, yeah, that's how the world works, man. I'm sorry, but that's how we do political satire.
But it doesn't have to be that way.
It does, because we could not criticize our politicians if we were not allowed to do satire. We couldn't criticize them. So it does have to work that way.
Just real quick, we got 38 people in here. I definitely love if you guys could tap the screen. We can get on the For You page. And if you guys could share out this live, we'd really appreciate it. Go ahead, Mr. Andrew.
Yeah, I was just saying, absent satire, political satire, you could not really criticize your politicians. You couldn't do it. And so satire is necessary. And so for you to say that we can't make satire about absurdities like false essay claims and things like that, that is dogma which is designed to be oppressive to the nature of freedom itself.
I say the idea that someone's sense of humor means that their morality is non-existent, or that they would see someone getting essayed or even participate in essay because they find something humorous is just ignorant.
That's absurd, John.
Like if you see a kid fall down, like, does that mean, and you find it funny that you like pushing kids over to watch them fall down?
Of course not. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Well, not only is it absolutely ridiculous, but this is the same thing. Most humor, which is bawdy or is uncouth or things like this, what makes humor funny is if it points to something that's true. Otherwise, it's not funny. And so usually people are only laughing because they think there's a lot of truth in what this person is saying, and it's the absurdity which is funny.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It's just like, again, you can't look at these statements up here and say that they're not based in hate. Like, and that's what it was supposed to. Like, I swear he's never even answered if it's misandrist or not to.
Say actually, he hasn't.
KAM.
Actually, he hasn't. But John, do you think these statements? Well, actually, we've talked to you a lot. Opulence. Do you think these statements are misandrous? Opulence.
Hey, sorry.
Yeah. Do you think the statements are misandrous?
What were the statements?
The ones on the panel.
Oh, are they misandrous? I think the KAM. I just recently heard that one. Somebody brought it up. I didn't even know that was a thing. So I don't really know too much about it, but maybe it's too vulgar. I don't know. Maybe that one's misandrous, but all men till it's known men, no. Man versus bear, no.
So do you pick the bear?
I don't know. Honestly, I think it's kind of dumb. I don't think it's misandrous, but I think it's just kind of like there's too much nuance to it, so it doesn't really work.
Well, the misandrous part is the idea that women would think that 80% of America would essay them.
All right.
What does
hold on, everybody. The host has gotten on mute now,
I just
so
want to know,
let
like,
him talk.
what does all men until no men mean to you, Opulence?
Oh, yeah, that means, like, be cautious of all men until no men are committing acts of violence against women.
Whoa. Time out. So you think that in any world there's going to be no acts of violence?
Well, yeah, probably not, but or maybe until it's so low and it's comparable to what women do. Yeah.
Women aren't. I've already stated that women aren't prosecuted for the same, like at the same rate that men are for the same
But
crime.
men aren't prosecuted as well. Like
Yes,
there's
they
so
are.
many.
They
What are you
are.
talking
They're
about?
not. There's so
You
many
literally
like
could
Opulence.
look at
We've
the
been through
FBI's
this.
unproven
database and notice that men are prosecuted far more for the same crimes.
Opulence.
They
We've
for
been
the
literally
through
have
this.
same
stats
crime with the
for the
same
same
evidence.
crimes.
We've been through this,
Whatever.
Opulence.
This is why my boy Dirk locks up right now, because they get prosecuted.
We've been through this already.
Men are more falsely accused than women are.
Because of gender roles, right? We see the courts tend to be biased towards women because they think they aren't capable or culpable or of doing the same crimes because they're seen as angels.
Here,
Or
let me
things like that.
let me read some stats for you, Opulence, just to help you out with this. This is from ResearchGate.net. It's publication 33. You can look at it. Millennial women use physical violence to essay twice as often as millennial men or all previous generations. You can find also there 60% of college women confess
Wait.
to. Hang
Can
on.
we run that back? Crime with the
For the
same
same
evidence.
crimes.
We've been through this,
Whatever.
Opulence.
This is why my boy Dirk locks up right now, because they get prosecuted.
We've been through this already.
Men are more falsely accused than women are.
Because of gender roles, right? We see the courts tend to be biased towards women because they think they aren't capable or culpable or of doing the same crimes because they're seen as angels.
Here,
Or
let me read some stats for you, Opulence, just to help you out with this. This is from ResearchGate.net. It's publication 33. You can look at it. Millennial women use physical violence to essay twice as often as millennial men or all previous generations. You can find also there 60% of college women confess to. Hang on.
Can we run that back?
Yeah.
Okay, you said repeat that stat again.
Millennial women use physical violence to essay. They actually use the R word here, but I don't want to use it because you're on TikTok. Twice as often as millennial men or all previous generations.
Okay.
ResearchGate.net, publication 33, 60% of college women confess to essay facilitated by drugs and alcohol, 9% to using a weapon. This is from a book called Sexual Aggression. You can find it on Amazon. 43% of college men and high school youth report being essayed, assaulted, or R-worded 95% of the time by women. APA.org, pubs, journals. 51% of college men reports being essayed or R-worded since the age of 16. 95% by women. ResearchGate, publication 23, according to the CDC's 12-month statistics on sexual violence, the most accurate statistic on the prevalence. 50% of the victims of forced sex were male, according to the CDC's lifetime statistics. The most accurate statistic regarding who is R-wording who. On who is perpetuating essay, 80% of the men were R-worded by women. You can also find on the worldwide survey, this is from ResearchGate publication 64, found that 3% of men reported forced sex in a heterosexual relationship and 2.3% of women reported forced sex in their heterosexual relationship, meaning that women will wake up a man with a BJ far often than he will wake her up with X when it is not warranted. So, by the way, this goes on and on and on. I have so many stats on this, it's unbelievable. What they did, the CDC, was they said if it's non-penetrative sex, they dismissed the findings. They dismissed them because it's non-penetrative. So basically, all male SA is ruled out as being SA. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
Wait, men
Yeah, we went
can't
through
be
this.
penetrated.
Andrew up here cooking, man.
Men
we-
can't have a woman, or a woman can't penetrate a man. Is that what they're saying?
They don't
Well,
see-
no, not generally. What are they going to penetrate them with? Their finger?
Yeah. Or,
Yeah, well, no, I don't
okay,
think.
so they
No,
don't
what they do is
consider
they
a
drug
woman,
them. They drug them,
Yeah.
or they sleep with them while they're drunk, or things like this. Which
that's
it,
not
if the
SA.
role, yeah, it is. If the role is reversed, it's considered SA by these colleges. So they're applying the same standard the college applies to SA towards women, where you would get your stats of how many women were SA'd on a college campus. They're applying the same exact standard to men.
Okay, so you're saying the statistics that I have that are saying that men perpetuate most sexual, or sorry, smexual, whatever, violent crimes you're saying that those statistics are telling me something different
Those are
because
convictions, right?
Well, they're telling you
um
there. So what you're looking at is a mixture of FBI statistics based on prosecution. This is looking at the same way where public data is gathered for how many women have been essayed. So you've heard this before, right? Most essay goes unreported. Most R word goes unreported.
yeah.
You've heard that? Right. Okay. So the only way that you can gather that data is based around self-reports. So since they're gathering it around self-reports, they use the same standard to gather these same self-reports for men, and lo and behold, it was higher than what women reported.
Okay, I'm gonna need those statistics because
Well, I just gave them to you. You can find,
I'm
again,
gonna need it like
researchgate.net, publication 64,
okay,
researchgate.net 23.
researchgate.net.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
He's
let's
been
see
giving
what
you
this is.
sources the whole time.
The
Hey,
entire
Mr.
time.
Andrew, those are fire sources, and I wanted to write them down. So if you could repeat them a little
Just
bit slower,
just
I'm
just
gonna.
DM me over on Twitter at PaleoChristCon, and I will just DM them all over to you, bro.
Okay,
Oh
cool.
I will
yeah,
make sure all of you are armed against these feminazi liars.
I've never even heard of that, because when they used to be like men commit, I used to agree, but then I would just refute it with the statistics are skewed because it's too much underreported, and I never even knew that existed. But I always say that obviously like the rate would probably be
Well,
similar
how about
or as
this?
higher.
This one's great. This is from ResearchGate.net, publication number 64. Also, recent results on sexual exploitation juvenile correctional facilities find extremely high rates of female on male abuse. In most serious incidences of staff sexual misconduct, an estimated 91% of incidences involved only female staff, while only 6% involved male staff. So this goes, this is so, there's so much to this. It's unbelievable. And we have all of the stats on our side. What they did was they ruled out, and I can even show this to you as well. I can show you exactly where the CDC ruled out that non-penetrative acts were not considered to be the R word because women demanded it. And the second you understand that, you'll understand why it is that that men are painted as these monsters, when in fact, even if I asked you, Opulence, isn't it true that you've been to a party or something like this where if a man was sitting on a couch and some like random 5'5" woman came over and started rubbing his shoulders and flirting with him, nobody would think it was a big deal? Whereas if the reverse happened and a 6'2" man went over and started rubbing a 5'5" stranger woman's shoulders, that you would find that to be a big deal. Yeah, and the reason that you find one to be a big deal and not the other is exactly why most forms of SA go unreported by men, because women just don't fucking care.
Wait, so I'm sorry, did you say that the woman was bigger than the man in the first situation?
It wouldn't matter
No.
what the configuration was. It would be socially acceptable. It would be socially acceptable for the woman to touch men, and it's never socially acceptable for the man to touch the woman. And that is the fact of the matter. We find this over and over again in these same research publications, over and over and over again, where men say they had all sorts of unwanted sexual touching, but nobody cared. They just don't care.
So I don't know if you're 21 or not, but you're telling me like you don't go to a club or a bar and you don't see women throwing it back on guys who weren't even like a part of any type of conversation, like without even.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. So how is that not the same type of action
Would
as
that
a
be
man
considered
Because-
going up and trying to grind on a random woman?
because normally it's like a woman can't really exert much power over the man, so people
But that's all
aren't
it
that
is. You just don't think. That
Well,
women
but
are
that's
capable of
false.
performing
That's
Wait,
false. This is a because actually the power initiated here is all on behalf of a woman. A woman can do unwanted touching and is basically untouchable for it, whereas a man has checks and balances. Other men beat him up. The court system deals with him, things like that. So actually, you are the ones who are in the position of power, not men.
Even if a man feels uncomfortable enough and feels like it's a problem enough to call the police, he's more likely to go to jail for that interaction than she is.
Okay.
I'm not even gonna.
No.
Let's not even go on that.
That's not true.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on. What'd you say, Honor?
Opulence. I'm going to make a very specific analogy for you, or hypothetical for you. So you said that because the man was larger in the last one. So if a 5'5" man went up to a woman and started rubbing her shoulders, and this woman was 6'3", is it not SA anymore because he's smaller than her?
Rubbing her I mean, like I said, or I didn't say this, sorry. It is still essay either way, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying the reason why people don't really care is because they assume that the man can like defend himself.
No. Women don't care. Women don't care. This is a
Men
this is a
don't care
strictly
either, but
female
okay.
argument that because we're weaker than you, we can do whatever we want to you. That's a
So you
strictly that.
really
And by the
think
way, that is a form of power dynamics of you trying to display power and control by saying because I'm weaker than you, I can do what I want to you. Men do not, on the other hand, when they're asked about this, they say, yes, that's totally inappropriate. That shouldn't be happening. That's awful. It's women specifically who make the bold
be
claim
so
that their
for
vagina
real?
is so awesome that men just have to have it. They have to.
This Napoleon syndrome is
Bro,
quite
be for
strong.
real.
We're being
What
for
men are
real.
sitting there saying this is inappropriate? Oh my god, like
The men
be
who
for
were
real.
the men who were
I gotta
asked in
go. Why
these
you throwing
very
ass on
the men
me?
who were asked in these
I got a
various
woman at
studies
home.
in
Why you throwing
colleges,
ass on me randomly?
yeah,
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 you might
these
This
not
is
see
just
it.
Why are you
cognitive.
touching me? Why are you rubbing my
You're just
shoulder?
assuming.
Just real quick, Oculence, do you think men enjoy being essayed?
No, but I'm saying in the instance that he gave where like if a woman were to start giving a man a back rub, I highly doubt that there's going to be a bunch of men being like, "Oh my god, that's
Just
so
assuming.
no, it'll be
inappropriate." Like,
no. What
wow,
happens
that's
is the opposite. Women will say it's inappropriate that the man is doing that; he's essaying her. But if the reverse happens, women will say that's totally fine. Who cares? Because she's weaker than him, so who cares? So like
Golly.
basically weak midgets are allowed to beat you up because they're weak midgets. Basically, that's the that's the logical extension here. Is if you're a weak midget, you can beat people up.
so this is just down to opinion, but
It's
I'm
not
trying my
opinion. It's a
best to
fact. It's a
find
social
your
fact.
I'm trying
Yeah.
my best to find his sources, Andrew. Like I can't find
I'll
anything
DM them
talking
over
about.
to you.
Okay.
Where do you want me to
Ma'am,
DM them to?
Struggling.
I'm sure he's pretty relevant. He knows his
Now?
stuff, so.
Okay, but I can't find anything to back up what he's
Look
saying.
up on Amazon sexually
Can't
aggressive
find it, it's
women,
because
current
it's not
perspectives,
real.
and controversies.
All right, let's see.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how you're struggling to see if it's bad for one gender to do. How is it not bad
No,
for
no,
the
no.
other?
I'm struggling to see the statistics that he brought up earlier about women basically being more likely to
But
enact
see, I never
sexual
knew
But
violence.
you
the rate.
said earlier that because there's a power dynamic.
Okay, the study from ResearchGate is called Generation by Gender Differences in Use of Sexual Aggression, a replication of the Millennial Shift. From the Journal of Sex Research, authored by Peter Anderson of Walden
Okay.
University, Cindy
So you have
Struckman,
one study.
and George L. Smeaton.
You asked for a specific one. He's giving you a specific
Okay,
one
because
to look up
it's
right
like
now.
everything else basically contradicts what he's saying, but
Yeah, that's
There's
great.
hundreds of
That's great.
studies.
The thing is about sociology, especially, is one of the biggest parts of the replication crisis, which affects it, is publishing bias, and people will only publish based around negative results rather than positive results because it elicits a response. So this is called Generation by Gender Differences in Use of Sexual Aggression, a replication of the Millennial Shift. The author is Peter Anderson of Walden University, Cindy Struckman Johnson, George L. Smeaton. It gives you the abstract, and it shows you all of the graphs of the interactional, generational, since they've been keeping track of this, right in the first paragraph.
all right.
Hey, Andrew, is your Twitter in your bio?
Yeah, well, no, I don't think it is. It's at PaleoChristCon.
Would you DM me on here?
I probably won't be able to.
Yeah, I don't know how to like type out and not leave the live.
Yeah,
He's also on the whatever podcast.
Yeah,
show.
bro.
He's
Just
online.
just
I'll
write
just
down
follow you.
just write down his Twitter handle and then get at him that way. I think because that's how he suggested for
Is
me.
this like
Okay, here, let me
a
get a pen.
locked
You can look up the
thing?
Crucible.
Like, is this
Not real
locked?
studies. You're just cherry picking some random
Right.
wrong
Like,
stats to make it seem like it's an equal issue,
Wait,
but it's
no,
not.
you
Women are the
exactly.
victims
perfectly.
and men are the
Perfectly. Our
perpetrators, and we
real
all
stuff.
know this.
No, we don't all know this. In fact, I just disputed it. I have real stats. I just gave you real studies, unless
have
you're
one
considering
Real
Walden
study,
University
it's
to
not
be.
important.
Yes, it is
Wait,
important.
so wait.
So why are
It's important. It's
1%
important
of
that you. It's important that you are perpetuating lies upon the society in which I live, where you are pretending that men are monsters when they're clearly not monsters. When in
No one's
fact,
saying they're
men are
monsters.
men are the ones who are being assaulted, and women are just proclaiming that they're the ones being assaulted. The opposite of what you're saying is true because you live in a false dichotomy. Let me ask you a question. I'll tell you what. Let's see which one of us lives in a false reality. And let me just ask you a single question, John. John,
All right.
can men be women?
Men cannot be women.
Can men be
Men are
women,
men.
John?
Oh.
Huh?
No, men are men.
Okay. Can males be women?
I mean, males can transition into
Yeah.
women,
Okay.
yes.
So do you
I
know
know
what,
it,
John?
I know it.
The thing is like I knew you were going to do like an elusive, sneaky little progressive thing. That's why I rephrased it. But that shows you the difference in the dynamics of the reality we live in. I live in the
But
real
that
one,
doesn't make
and you live in a fake one that's totally and completely made the fuck up, John.
that doesn't make your
Facts.
sources
You
more
can
reliable.
transition.
I gave
There are
you okay. Well, until you give me a refutation to the sources, I'm completely uninterested in what you think about
First
them.
of all, I'm pretty sure
You
your
actually
source
can't
is like
transition.
locked. I think your
It
source
is most
like,
certainly
into
not
something,
locked.
'cause,
I'm
like,
looking at
I
it
can't
right
find
now.
it.
It's a free PDF from researchgate.net. You can pull it up. It's a Journal of Sex Research. It's a very, very, very distinguished publication. I gave it to you 50 times. Would you,
I know, and I
mean,
keep trying to look it up.
At least you can't spell. Who knows?
It's an obscure and unimportant source. All you have to do is ask the women in your
John,
lives.
you think men can be women?
Bro,
Calm
John.
all you have to do, John, is ask the men in your lives how many of them if have been touched in the same way that women respond that they have been touched, and therefore it's SA, and you're going to find out most of the men in your life have been touched the same exact way.
I've spoken with many men, and SA is not an issue for men.
What?
They
Well,
are
okay,
not
John. What is
victims.
SA?
is.
What is it? Is it just unwanted touching? Is that SA?
You know what SA is?
Yeah,
and
I'm
you
asking
try
you,
to
is it
use all
is
these
unwanted
definitions and
touching-
loopholes and
Is
studies and
unwanted
research
touching
and make
SA,
it seem
John?
like it's an equal issue,
I'm
but
waiting
it's
for you
not
to
a
answer my
both
question,
sides
John.
issue.
John,
Answer
is
the question.
unwanted sexual touching SA?
Yes.
I don't know. It depends on the who's
Yes, John. Yes,
Wow,
John.
it depends.
Yes,
It depends now, John.
You don't know, John?
Yeah, like okay, if someone
You know that
taps
women
you
are
on
more
the
SA
shoulder,
than
you
men,
think
but you don't know what
that's
SA
not.
is? You don't know what SA is? But
It's
you do
not.
know
I
that
mean,
women
you
are
can
more
talk
SA
about
than
it.
men?
Well,
Is that
when
right,
people
John?
hit somebody on the head, is that SA? No, I don't think so.
That's not sexual touching, John.
I mean,
This is
look,
crazy.
women are still victims. You have to.
Yeah, John.
you cannot
John,
deny
I'm
this.
uninterested in what they're the victims of. If you can't even tell me what SA is, John.
Oh, Henry in here.
Okay, fine.
Ooh.
SA is like
My boy does Oxford debating.
You could Google it if you need to, brother.
I'm not gonna Google it. I know what SA is.
Then tell
Like,
us what it
I know
is,
the
John.
spirit of
What
it.
does that say, John? Just
Because
answer the
John,
question.
John, we before Andrew joined, we've been over this with you like multiple times, and you keep white knighting. All right, just accept that men can be
Knighting.
victims. Just accept that men can be victims too.
No, I won't even
Everyone's
say
saying
that.
they
Twisting
can't.
the reality.
You're
Casper,
right.
I wouldn't
Y'all
even
are
say that.
saying they
Wait,
can't.
real quick.
What?
Real quick. Opulence, you're a feminist, right?
Yes.
Oh man,
You live in
opulence. Why do you
America,
want to? Don't do that to yourself. That's
Well,
terrible.
You just destroyed your whole like.
That's terrible. You seem like such a
ability to
nice
find a husband.
person. You don't have to do that to yourself.
So
You'll never
opulence.
find a husband.
Are
I'm
you
not
a
even trying to
men's
be
rights
funny.
activist?
I-
Do you
I-
No.
I am.
Nope, I'm not a.
Okay. So that's
I wouldn't.
fine.
I would consider myself an advocate for patriarchal Christianity. That would be men and women who would be included in that category of the protectorate that I
So you said
would be pushing for.
patriarchal.
I like
Yes.
that better. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
correct. It's a Christianity is a patristic faith, not a feminist
Yeah.
faith. That's correct.
Now,
Yes.
name how many matriarchies are doing well right now for me, real quick.
Or
Opulence.
have ever
Just real
survived the
quick,
test
just
of
real quick.
time.
Hold on, guys. Andrew, I have a question for you. You're a very cultured man. You've spoken to a lot of people. Would you say generally in society, do you think that our society is shifting to a matriarchal culture already?
No. It's desperate. The desperation to move towards patriarchy from both men and women is overwhelming. While on the one hand, the female boss babe will say that, she's awesome in every conceivable way and can wear black jumpsuits and knock out the 6'5" men with ninja kicks. At the same time she perpetuates that, she also says that she's completely and totally oppressed by the men who are around her. Which is really interesting because it creates the Schrodinger's feminist dynamic. But now that we've lived with feminism since the 1970s, women are far less likely, if asked directly if they're a feminist, to give the yay to it, because they also see now that feminism is a form of oppression. And rather than working in unison with men in the patriarchal structure, which is all human societies are based around, they have instead valued the wrong thing. They valued personal education over reproduction. And so what's happened is we have a birth rate and reproductive crisis, and women not getting married till they're in their 30s. So their unhappiness levels are through the roof. So no, I think that the pendulum's swinging.
Okay, because from like a lot of propaganda, a lot of social media, it seems to me like it's starting to shift. But it is interesting how you said it is starting to shift, but there's still like, I don't want to say the V card, right? But they're still like trying to play both sides of the fence, it seems like.
Yeah, but I mean, this is very common because feminism is intricately tied into progressivism. That's always the same false dialectic of I am both empowered and a victim at the same time. And it's through my victimization that I get my power. And so because that's always the dialectic for power of the left, feminism moves right into it perfectly.
Right. Well, thank you. That was a great answer. Go ahead, Cass.
Real quick, Opulence. You're in America, right?
Yeah.
What you fighting for?
Well, right now women don't have the equal right over their
bodily autonomy.
I'm glad me and you
I
guys.
already knew it was coming. I already knew
Well,
it was
yeah.
coming. Oh my
Why wouldn't I
God.
say that?
Hey, women don't have that right. I'm pretty sure you could still go to multiple states and get that.
Okay, well, not in a lot of the states that we live
In
in.
the majority of states, you could still get it done.
Yeah, well, I mean, women always, all women seem to want to do is fight for the right to kill their children and get naked. That seems to be the only things they fight for.
Damn.
Hey,
I mean, can you give me any serious female women's organization right now, Opulence, a serious female organization that is advocating for anything except women's right to undress themselves on camera or get an abortion? Any?
No, there is none. There is none. I've already.
The feminist movement is fighting for women to have the right, like equal representation in important.
Equal representation to do what?
In Congress.
Yeah, to do what? To do what?
Women don't push.
Yeah, hang on. I want men in Congress to represent my boom rights, right? Gun rights. I want them to represent my freedom of speech. I want them to represent all these different things, right? Women want more women in Congress to represent the right to get naked on camera and have abortions. If that's not true, then show me any feminist think tank that's advocating for anything short of that.
How do you not see this as like just like toxic misogyny? I don't get it.
Okay, well, how do you not see that your lack of logic and your lack of education on key issues doesn't make you sound like a complete rube?
Bro, you literally gave some obscure source where everything else.
I know. I gave you a half a dozen sources, and you're so illiterate you couldn't look them up even when I named the authors.
I found it. Yep, I found it, and everything else debunks it. So try.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. You read this source that's hundreds of pages long in 10 seconds. And everything else debunks it. Genius, Opulence.
Yeah.
Look at the big brain on Opulence. In 10 seconds, she read hundreds of pages from this source.
I said I read the part that you're talking about.
Well, yeah, which part was that? Which part was that?
Something about unreported, unwanted schmexual touching, blah, 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 and saying that women, I read that part. So,
you read the part where it says something about something. I read that part.
Yeah,
I read the part where something about something was said about something. I'm not really sure though.
Is that what you said or no?
Exactly. All right, you got cooked, Opulence. Let's put the salt and pepper on.
No, would you like more sources? Would you like more? Would you like more sources?
Give something that actually has validity to it, like something that we can actually trust.
Okay, would the APA work for you?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, do you first though? I want you to tell me, since you're a genius and I'm an idiot, what does the APA stand for? What does APA stand for, Opulence? Yeah, you don't know, but you were willing to accept it as a source 5 seconds ago.
American.
For for us slow ones in the audience,
Oh,
what
you're
is the
talking
APA?
about the
Hold on,
APA,
Opulence, Opulence.
American
Hold
Psychology
on, hold on.
Association.
The American Psychology Association.
Jesus.
Like,
This is so, you're so embarrassing to like
Andrew,
us as a
Andrew,
species. Oh my god.
for the audience, for all of us slow ones, can you tell us what that means? Because I don't know. I've never heard.
The American Psychological Association.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So why are you laughing? Like, it was so far off what I said.
Well, you didn't even know what it meant at first, and then you only kind of got a grasp, and you consider it to be an authority, and you clearly don't even know what it is. You consider these things to be authorities, and you don't even know what they are.
Yeah. I gotta go.
Don't run
Just making
away
sure y'all
now,
know I'm not
Opulence.
running.
He said he's gonna give you some. He said he's gonna give you some.
He's about to
info.
run.
I'm not running.
Run the
I
fuck
have to
away.
go. I have to go
And
for
he's
my
gonna give
run.
you sources. At least let him give you some sources.